and thank you for coming tonight. My name is Lorena Garcia. I am the president of the Lake Conroe Area Republican Women. This is a special program our club started many years ago to inform. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. To inform and educate voters about the election by providing an opportunity to see and hear the candidates. We are glad that you're here. So at this moment, could you please silence your phones? Now I'd like to ask Commissioner Robert Walker to come forward to lead us in prayer, followed by District Court Judge Lisa Mishok to lead us in the pledges.
Well, thank you, everybody. What a frosty night, huh? Good grief. I want to thank the Republican ladies here tonight. They do so much for this community and all the kids and stuff there in the school, and we should really applaud them for what they do for this area. I've got one other thing I want to mention. Some of you may know it, some of you may not. My good friend Judge Wayne Mack lost his daddy last Friday. And I had a long conversation with him last night. And he's kind of struggling, so y'all remember him in your prayers, please. Each and every one of you. Okay, I'm not Wayne Mack.
No, you're not.
Let's go to the Lord. Lord, thank you for this meeting tonight. Thank you for our community. Thank you for our country, our state. Bless each and every one of us as we serve you every day of our lives. And Lord, we make mistakes and you understand. Bless our military, their families, the ones that send their young men and women off to war. Bring them home to their families safely. Our first responders, police, firemen, EMS, they go to war every day. They're in such a bad sense with the communities in certain parts of this country that we just put your hands on them and help those men and women to get home themselves. So. And we have this terrible pandemic that has been plaguing this country. You're the only man that can fix this for us, Lord. Bless this world. Help us get through this time. And all these things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Hi there. I just want to take a chance. This is Lisa Meichok. To thank you so much for coming. On behalf of all the candidates, and to the candidates, thank you for running. It is a hard thing to put yourself out there. And so I'm just so appreciative that we have a lot of people that made the choice to stand up and run for office. So if you would stand with me, we're going to say the pledge. We'll start with the United States pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we'll honor the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker and Judge Meichok. Okay, the minutes for our last general meeting were printed in the newsletter. Are there any changes or corrections? Hearing none, they stand approved as printed. The treasurer's report was printed in the newsletter. Are there any questions concerning this report? Hearing none, the report will file as printed. The LCARW 2022 budget was printed in the newsletter. May I have a motion to accept the budget as printed?
I make a motion to accept the budget as printed.
I second.
Is there any discussion? All those members entitled to vote and in favor of accepting the 2022 budget, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Thank you. Motion carries. Now I would like to ask Bradley Lopez, our corresponding secretary, to please come to the front to introduce our elected officials.
Welcome, everybody, especially our candidates tonight. Thank you for coming out in such cold weather. We're all anxious to hear what you have to say, and we've all got our papers, and we're going to mark down who we think's best. So thank you all for coming out tonight. I'm going to announce our elected officials. Be aware if you're an elected official and you're a candidate, we're not going to call your name because you're going to be introducing yourself later, or you'll be introducing yourself at our next meeting when we have our other state and federal candidates there. Scott Moore from Conroe ISD is here. Stand up, Scott. Thank you for coming. Judge Lisa Mychalk, the best pledge giver ever from the 221st District Court Judge. Where you at, Judge? The greatest district clerk in the state of Texas, Melissa Miller. From the 359th District Court, Kathleen Hamilton. You may have written this lady's name on a check this month if you're paying property taxes. Tammy McRae, our tax assessor. From County Court at Law number 4, Mary Ann Turner is here. And Commissioner 1, who gives us permission to use this building, Robert Walker. You did a great prayer, Commissioner, wherever you're at. The only thing bad about giving a great prayer is we may ask you to do it again, okay? Thank you for doing that. All the way from Magnolia, Constable Precinct 5, Chris Jones is here. From Montgomery ISD School Board, Sean Dennison. And our awesome county treasurer, Melanie Bush. Our Montgomery County Republican Chairman, Brian Christ. And County Clerk, Mark Turnbull. From Montgomery ISD School Board, Linda Porton. And doing our awesome security tonight, Chief Don Fullen is here for Philip Cash. I don't know if he's out, if y'all can see him, but thank you, Philip Cash's office, for being here to do security, just in case anybody gets wild. And from the 435th District Court, Judge Patty McGinnis is here. Did I miss any elected officials that are not candidates? Wave your hand if you didn't sign in. Go ahead and announce yourself back there.
Dennis Watson.
Oh, there's Judge Dennis Watson back there. Thank you for being here, Judge Watson. Anybody else here that we missed? Stand up.
Byron Sanford, Montgomery City Council.
That's all of our elected officials. Go ahead.
Julie Davis, Montgomery City Council.
Thank you for being here, Julie.
Thank you, Brandy. We are a very active club, full of fun, amazing Republican women. I invite you to join us. To you men, we welcome you to become associate members. We will be having a membership event on Thursday, February the 3rd, from 5:30 to 7 at the Siete Leguas in Montgomery. Early voting for the March 1st primary begins on February 14th, and this building will be one of the locations to vote. I would like to say a special thank you to Commissioner Robert Walker. Where are you? Commissioner Walker, you are a great friend to the Lake Conroe area Republican women members. And now on to our program. Tonight, the forum moderator will be our immediate past president, Julie Fumble. Our timekeeper is Carol Parsons. Ladies, the program is yours.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening. My name is Julie Bauble, and I am the moderator. We would like to thank all of our candidates for taking the time to participate in tonight's forum. The candidates are grouped according to the office for which they are running. I will give a brief job description of each office and then It's not work. Oh, there we go. Technical difficulties. Gremlins. The
Each candidate.
Each candidate will have 4 minutes to answer the questions. They may speak about other issues they feel are important as well, but we will ask them to take a seat when the 4 minutes are up. Our timekeeper, Carol Parsons, wave Carol, will give them updates. We have a PowerPoint presentation with the questions and job descriptions for you to view while the candidates answer. Before we begin, I'd like to recognize candidates who are running for the United States House of Representatives. Because Lake Conroe Area Republican Women is not a federal PAC, we are not permitted to invite them to speak. But we encourage you to visit with them and visit with them at the conclusion of the forum. I'd like to recognize Candace Burrows. Candace? Christian Collins. Morgan Luttrell. And Dan McCon. Did we miss anyone? Good. There we go. Much good luck. And now, the position every candidate wishes they were in. We'd like to recognize those fortunate candidates who are unopposed in the upcoming March 1st primary. Audrey Young is not with us tonight. She's running for State Board of Education. Brandon Creighton, Texas State Senator, SD4. Will Metcalf, Texas State Representative, HD 16. Lisa Mychok, District Judge, 221st. Kristen Bays, Judge, 284th District Court. Kathleen Hamilton, 359th District Court. Melissa Miller, District Court. Claudia Laird, County Court at Law Number 2. Charlene Valdez, County Court at Law Number 6, which is a brand new court. Wave, Charlene. Stand up and wave. Yes. First time, no opponent. Melanie Bush, County Treasurer. Our own Justice of the Peace, Wayne Mack. And our Montgomery County Republican Party Chair, Brian Criss. Thank you all. Okay, now on with our forum. We're going to adjust our order because 2 of our candidates have another commitment and we want to get them out and on their way. The first race will be for the Texas State Representative, District 3. The Texas House of Representatives is composed of 150 members, each elected for a 2-year term. The Texas legislature meets in regular session for about 5 months every other year. There are no term limits. The candidates are Kelly McDonald and Cecil Bell Jr. Here are the questions we've given the candidates. What do you believe is the most significant issue facing this office in today's divided environment? What else do you believe needs to be done regarding election integrity? What is your position on getting school choice implemented? And we will go in ballot order, and we will ask Kelly McDonald to speak first.
Just checking, making sure this is on. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kelly McDonald, and I am so proud to be able to stand in front of you to apply for the job of Texas House of Representative for District 3. I want to tell you just a little bit about myself. I know a lot of you in the room. I'm so thankful for that. But just in case I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, I just want you to know a little bit about me and where I came from. So I grew up in a small East Texas town called Quitman, about 1,000 people, about one stoplight. My dad was a police officer in town, and my mom was a school nurse. So you can imagine my brother and I didn't get away with much growing up. But when my brother and I weren't in school, we were in our church youth group, and it was just small town values. And I'm so proud that I could grow up like that. We were taught in our small town to respect each other, to treat each other with respect, to respect our law enforcement and our veterans, and that's just the way I was brought up. So let me fast forward a little bit. When I got married, I met my husband, John. We've been married for 27 years, and we have 3 great kids that have all grown up. They've all graduated from high school. 2 of them have graduated from college, and our last one is in his last semester. He's graduating in May, so we are at the end of that finish line. So I want to tell you a little bit about my service to the community. And my leadership in the community, because my mom and dad always said that it's great to serve, because they were both public service, but also it's leadership that matters. And so for the last 5.5 years in Magnolia ISD, I've been a school board trustee, protecting our schools, protecting our teachers, making sure our students have everything that they need to succeed, because that's the baseline of a community, is making sure the kids can succeed. I also am your Montgomery County Housing Authority Commissioner right now, and what that means is it's a volunteer job, but it's important. I oversee all federal money that comes in that is making sure that our veterans and our disabled and our elderly have safe housing. I'm also the Rotary Club president for Magnolia. And this is my 2nd term as president, and like I said, leadership matters, and the Rotary Club in Magnolia does a lot of great things. I know a lot of you are Rotarians, so I'm telling you something that I know that you already know. To answer the most pressing question that I saw on the list is, what do I believe is the most significant issue facing this office in today's divided environment? And that's protecting American values, protecting election integrity, treating each other with respect so that people, good Christians, will step up and serve. It is such an honor to be able to vote in our country. It is such an honor to be able to run for public office. And if we treat each other with respect and we protect our elections, then we will encourage other people, other good Christian people, to step up. And that's what I've done. It's a lot to step up to serve, but I'm so proud to do it. And I'm asking for your vote beginning February 14th for early voting, all the way up to March 1st. And I promise you, if you put me in that office March 1st, March 2nd, I'm going to continue to run with the ball. I've been pretending to have that job for the last 7 months, meeting with as many people as I can, and I will continue to do that. I thank you so much for being here tonight, and it is such an honor to speak to y'all. Thank you very much.
Cecil Bell Jr. is it all? There it is. Everybody hear me now? There we go. My name is Cecil Bell Jr., and I haven't been pretending to have this job. I am your state representative, and it's been my honor and will be my honor to continue to serve in that capacity. A little bit about me, in case you don't know. 6th generation Texan, family's been here since 1852 on the Bell side. Moores go and the Pates go back a little further than that, but That's kind of where that is. Met my high school sweetheart at an Honor Society convention in Dallas, Texas. We have 2 grown sons who have graduated from Magnolia ISD and the Magnolia West campus side of things, where I served as a trustee for about 8.5 years. And after I was elected to this position, resigned after we got our budgeting done, took care of business there, and then began to serve in this capacity. In order to get to this point, though, I think there were a lot of things that people expect from us. One is to know what we base our decisions on. So I'm a member of the Church of Christ in Magnolia, been a member there since we've been there, served as a deacon for quite a while. So when you look at why you make the decisions you make, we're not a theocracy, but you should know that people are making their decisions based on their more than just a feel-good perception. So my decisions when I'm looking at things, if you look at a lot of pictures of the Bible sitting open on the desk, it's not just there to be open. It's there because that's how you should raise your kids. It's there because it's what you should make your decisions on, because we are a Judeo-Christian nation and this state holds those same values. I own 9 businesses right now. I started my first construction company in 1983 as a 21-year-old. It's still in business today, still ran by me, along with my 2 sons, and making up the 200 employees plus or minus. Most of them I've worked with since I was a kid, because we've all stayed together and continued to do those things. And talking about things in the community, I am a Rotarian as well. I was a founding member. I haven't been a participating member in a while, because this job kind of takes me out of that loop. But also serve as the current chairman of the TCO facility that is housed at Precinct 5. Was honored to work with Constable Hill, now Constable Jones, to make sure we keep that so our officers don't have to leave Montgomery County to be able to get the continuing education hours they have to have. So if something happens, they're right here in town and able to go to work. It's an important facet, an important part of who we are as a people. Also served in the Texas State Guard, where I have a rank of Lieutenant Colonel. We have a general here in the room. I won't go too far there, but at the end of the day, when you look at the things that shape how we make our decisions and how we serve and do we serve, I believe that you are the reason that we are in office. You are the whole reason that our form of government works. It's a representative form of government. And for it to work, you have to have people you can contact who understand your business concerns, who understand your individual concerns, who then will go to work with the knowledge of government, and that's to get the job done for you. And it'll continue, again, as I said, to be my honor to serve in that capacity. If that's your decision to continue to send me, I don't go because I have anything other there to do than the job you sent me to do. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. And now we're moving on to Member State Board of Education. The State Board of Education sets policies and standards for Texas public schools. The primary responsibilities of the State Board include setting curriculum standards and reviewing and adopting instructional materials. There are 15 State Board of Education members who are elected by Texans to a 4-year term of office. Each member represents about 1.8 million Texans. Most recently in the legislature, as the result of redistricting, Montgomery County has been divided into 2 State Board of Education districts. Candidates for District 6 are Will Hickman and Mike Wolf. The candidate for District 8 is Audrey Young, who is running unopposed. And here are the questions we presented them. What are the biggest issues facing your district, and how do you plan to address them? What is your position on the teaching of CRT, and how will you ensure teachers adhere to a non-divisive curriculum. Because some students experienced a loss of learning during the COVID shutdowns, what will you do to help them catch up? With us tonight is State Board of Education member Will Hickman. Will?
Thank you so much. Yeah. Works better when you turn it on. Thank you so much for having me. My name's Will Hickman, currently serving on the State Board of Education. My predecessor, Donna Mahorich, called me about 3 years ago, asked me to run, and that's why I'm here. And Barbara Cargill had some of this district, and now Audrey Young has some of this district. So I've got big shoes to fill, but all three of those ladies did a great job, and all three are supporting me to stay on the board. Lived all over the world, went to Texas A&M. I was telling the mayor, I used to come through here and get speeding tickets on my way to the Woodlands. So I've been to the JP, and they do a great job over there. I got a couple engineering degrees in mechanical engineering and industrial distribution. I was a high jumper for the Aggies, and met my wife there. It's probably the best thing I did at A&M. We got married, moved to Houston, lived in Bel Air about 20 years. I served on Bel Air City Council there. She went to med school, and I went to work at Exxon, and went to U of H at night, got a law degree, and later went back and got an LLM. And a couple of years ago, got a Spanish degree. So I do a lot of work in South America for Shell. I'm a contract attorney. And over the years, we've had 3 kids. We moved out to Spring Branch, right near City Center, Memorial City, and been a Little League coach. I'm a deacon and Sunday school teacher at Tallowood Baptist. Involved in the PTA, HOA, and the Rodeo International Committee. Just tell you, my opponent's not here. He is not married, he doesn't have any kids, and he's not involved in education. He likes to talk about me, but I don't really know what his plans are, so I'll let you ask him that if he shows up. Politically, I was a Bel Air councilman, precinct chair, electoral college member, been involved in the Republican clubs and conventions, treasurer for a PAC for W in 2004. We brought 75 people up to Minnesota. And then, like I said, Donna called me to run for the state board. The last meeting had an amendment to take out climate alarmism from the science curriculum. I didn't think that was appropriate for 8th graders. It was more politics. Health textbooks, we rejected 3 that were not suitable for Texas kids. And we adopted 1 good textbook, which the big concern was about sex ed, and sex ed, thanks to the legislature, is now opt-in. So if your kid is not taking sex ed, you won't get that part of the book, either on a computer or separate manual. I'm in favor of parent choice. I won the Charter Champion Award from the Texas State Charter Association, and have been a supporter of charters, and I'm in favor of parent choice, whether you want to go to private school, homeschool, charter, magnet, zoned ISD. I have 3 kids in the zoned, in my zone school. I'll quickly jump to your questions. Biggest problem for me is career college military readiness in Texas is at 60%, and I'm chairing an ad hoc flight plan committee, which you can read more about on my website, really preparing every kid to achieve their full potential. Your second question on CRT, I will tell you I've lectured on it. I'm an attorney, I've read Delgado's books, and I'm 100% against it. CRT is racism, and if you're saying it's for a good reason, I'm still not in favor of racism. And I've been endorsed by Steve Toth, who authored HB 3979, which really helps us keep CRT out of the classroom. And your last question on the learning gap, HISD was shut down this week. I'm against vaccine mandates and mask mandates, and the first thing we need to do is get all the kids back in school. So if you like what you've heard, please visit willhickmancampaign.com, or you can pick up a yard sign, a bumper sticker. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now, the next race, we will hear from the candidates for the Justice of the Ninth Court of Appeals, District Place 2. The court was created by the legislature in 1915 and currently has jurisdiction over cases in 10 counties. The legislature has divided the state into 14 courts of appeal districts. Each court has at least 3 justices, a chief justice and 2 justices. Appellate judges have jurisdiction over both civil and criminal appeals. Justice Charles Krager is retiring after 17 years of service. The candidates are Stephanie Hall and Jay Wright. Stephanie.
Good evening. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank the Republican women for putting on this wonderful event. I'm a Republican woman. I'm on the board of directors for Liberty Bells, and it's another great organization too.
We take our forms very seriously, and I know that it took a lot of hard work, and I appreciate that. To give you a little background, I've been practicing law in Texas for 29 years. When I first started my career, I worked for law firms, and I did a lot of complex commercial litigation. I did insurance defense, wrongful death. I was even part of a litigation team for a patent case. So I've had a lot of experience, but you know, I was very dissatisfied because everything, it seemed like, was about money. Of course it is when you're in civil. And so someone asked me to do a divorce for them, which I thought I would never do family, and I started my own practice. Since then, I've done family, probate, guardianship. I've done every aspect of law that there is. I've done everything that's been simple to complex. I know that you all wanted to know how many cases that I've tried. I don't keep track of that, but I will tell you, I feel very certain that I've tried at least 1,500 cases. Now, 2 of those were criminal, because I really thought in my heart of hearts that I was going to do criminal law right at the very beginning. I was going to be a prosecutor. I had that all, but you know, when you make up your mind, God gives you another plan. And so that didn't happen. So I will tell you though, the last 20 years I spent a lot of time with CPS cases, representing indigent parents and representing children, and it has been the most difficult type of work that I've ever done, but it's also been the most challenging. So during this period of time, I've also appealed many cases. Again, I don't keep track of those numbers, but I would estimate that I've done 30, 40, it could be more. I just finished a petition for review to the Supreme Court yesterday. And so it's kind of difficult for me to say, but I will tell you that most of the cases that I've appealed have been very complex, because the issues, and I've done a lot of CPS, those issues can be quite complex with many parties and many things going on. So during this period of time that I've been working, I really have enjoyed the appeal process itself. I will tell you, I would miss litigating cases, but I'm ready to do that. I think the most significant issue for this legal community in this area is judicial temperament. And so I want you all to think about who would have the best judicial temperament. That's really the key question in this race. I do not believe in legislating from the bench or being active in trying to change things. If you hear things, whether conservative or liberal, that they're trying to return to things, or they're trying to change things, or maybe the federal government needs to be doing something, that's not right. What I would need to do in doing my job is to look at the canons of constructions in interpreting the law for legislature, and I would need to look at the precedent in case law. I just believe that there are some promises that I can make you, okay? One is, I have for 29 years prayed over all of my cases and with my clients about certain matters. That is key and important to me. My Christian life, my faith in Christ is key. I can continue to do that because I do that automatically. Also, the other thing I can promise you is I've had a lifetime of service. I have been on boards of directors. I'm currently on Eagles Nest Ministry board with Judge Mack, and he's a great asset to our board. He's fairly new. And I've been on Family Promise. I've been on many boards. I have not sought those. People have sought me out to be on those boards. I also teach my Sunday school class, my lovely 3 to 7-year-olds,
and I love it. It's not something I thought I would do in my career, but I'm doing that now. I would appreciate your vote and just consider me Stephanie Hall for the Ninth Court of Appeals.
Not getting the green light, but it's on. Thank you, Stephanie. The Republican women's clubs are the, as Dr. Wiley always says, the backbone of the Republican Party in Montgomery County, and I think around the state. And I've been a Republican since Ronald Reagan. He brought me into the Republican Party when I was a young man in college. I was attracted to that. And I began getting active in Republican Party politics in 1982. I went to state conventions in 82, 84, 86, 88. Basically, what attracted me was the conservative principles, the things that have been building in the Republican Party. So who am I? I'm Jay Wright. I'm running for the Ninth Court of Appeals, Place 2. I'm born and raised in Corpus Christi, Texas. I was the 7th out of 10 children. I was the 4th out of 5 boys, the ultimate middle child. And so I grew up in Corpus Christi, went to Catholic school in primary, and then graduated from high school there, and went to college at Corpus Christi State University, which is now Texas A&M Corpus Christi. So I like to say I'm an adopted A&M. And then went on to Houston from 82 to 85 to law school up here, and graduated University of Houston, got my doctorate, my JD there, and went back to Corpus Christi and was practicing there. I started out sole practice, with an associate, as an associate and an attorney. Couldn't get any trial work because even though I was 26, I looked 16. So after a few months, I went to work prosecuting in the county attorney's office and stayed there for the rest of the most 7 years. And I tried criminal cases and then was appointed the chief of the criminal division after a couple of years. And then after 2.5 years of that, was going to move on, and the boss said, the civil chief is leaving, I want you to be the civil section chief. And I thought, well, I need to learn some civil law. So then I represented the county for 2.5 years, advised the commissioner's court, the department heads, defended the county in lawsuits, federal and state court, things like that. And did juvenile prosecution, as a matter of fact, which is heavy-duty felony prosecution. So in 1982, my boss was moving on to become the district attorney. It was all Democrats down there, but he encouraged me, and I ran as a Republican in 1982 when George H.W. Bush was up for re-election, and so you can imagine the outcome. Even though I outpolled him by more than 10%, I was still far behind my Democratic opponent. And I went into private practice. And what did I do in private practice? Well, I did the same things I'd done with the county. I did, except on the criminal side, rather than prosecute, I was doing defense. And I was also doing civil litigation, a lot of family law, probate, things like that, guardianships. And my practice has been that way ever since. Now, in 2000, we got a house and we moved up here to Conroe. And I've been here for the last 21 years in downtown Conroe. I've done over 117 appeal cases of record, and it's about half civil, half criminal, of every kind of law, family, civil litigation, criminal, defense and prosecution. I've done over 140 jury trials. I've done hundreds and hundreds of non-jury trials, and most trials are non-jury. And the reason that's important is because all kinds of cases go to the Court of Appeals, because that's the first level appeal of right. And I've done every kind of case that this court will hear. And I think that you want somebody, if you have a case that goes to trial and you don't like the outcome and you have to appeal it, and you say the judge did something wrong, didn't follow the law or the Constitution, you want somebody sitting up there reviewing what they did, who's been there before, who's done that kind of case before. So I'm asking for your support and your vote in this March 1st election. Jay Wright, Ninth Court of Appeals. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay and Lee. And now we'd like to move on to the candidates for Montgomery County Judge. The county judge has a wide range of judicial and administrative duties and is the presiding officer of the 5-member Commissioners Court. This office is responsible for administration of the county, including setting tax rate, policies, and budget of the county. The candidates are Sarah Countryman, Mark Keogh, and Billy Graff. And here's what we'd like to know. What do you feel is your strongest qualification that sets you apart from your two opponents? What do you think is the most pressing issue faced by the county today, and how would you address it if elected? And what is your message to Montgomery County residents as the COVID pandemic enters its 3rd year? Sarah, will you please begin?
Good evening. Thank you so much, Lake Conroe Republican Women, for hosting this. I'm actually a member of this club, and I'm so grateful and thankful for that. And I'm also an associate member to all the other clubs here in the county. It has been a pleasure to sit and look across this room and see so many friendly faces. Thank you, Montgomery, for showing up and showing out tonight. I appreciate it. Sarah Countryman. I'm currently the 2nd-term mayor of the city of Montgomery. I have lived in Montgomery for 10 years. My husband, between the two of us, we have 3 kids. We have 2 grown adults and a junior high. I was the HOA president, and because there were some things going on in the city, I went and fought, and we ended up getting a refund from the company that was overcharging us, and then I was asked to jump on city council. I was coaching soccer at the time. I wasn't so sure if I could at the time, but what the heck, so I did. Became mayor of the city of Montgomery, thankful to be here. While here, there has been a lot of accomplishments achieved, and I'd like to share some of those with you this evening. Since being mayor, we have successfully trademarked birthplace of the Texas flag. That is something that this city had done since inception, and I'm thankful that it happened in the last couple of years, because being birthplace of the Texas flag in 4.5 square mighty miles, that says a lot. Because the most recognizable flag in the whole entire world is the Texas flag, and I'm proud to represent the people of that town. We've also successfully brought new events and revenue to the town. Lots of new, who would have thought Montgomery would have a Chick-fil-A and 2 Starbucks? But we've also brought events to the town as well. The Montgomery Mud Bug Festival, the Montgomery Fall Festival. The city now is over the fantastic Christmas parade, as well as the Antique Festival. Successfully also, we have completed and approved a comprehensive plan. When I first got into office, there was no destination, no plan, no future. What's our vision? And I like to have that. I like to know where we're headed and what are our benchmarks to be the best. So, day one, we had already denied one program, and I found another program, and it took over 3 years to get a comprehensive plan, which is an evergreen framework for the city to build upon and can ever change as the city changes. However, we know we want to be a mobile city, we want to be a destination, we continue to embrace our history, and we want to make sure our downtown stays the crown jewel that it is. Also, the city has adopted, just in the past year, a 20% homestead exemption. We've also increased the benefits for our city employees. For the first time ever, our police officers now have education incentives. We also have we have a new city administrator. We've had a stronger partnership with the MISD, and we've experienced the highest amount of tax revenue ever seen in the city. I love this place, and I have begun to love all of the people of Montgomery County and what I've done here and the successes I've had in Montgomery. The mayor, it's just bigger boundaries, same roles, same public policy, same budgeting as the county judge. So the borders just go out a little wider. And I ask for your vote, and I look forward to serving you as your next county judge. Sarah Countryman, forcountyjudge.com.
Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate your service. My name is Mark Keogh, and I am your county judge. You know, the question that comes up as we look at this first is, what do you believe are your strongest qualification that sets you apart from your two opponents? I believe the strongest qualification that I have has to do with the fact that I have been in the office, I made promises when I went in, and I kept every single one of those promises. The first official act that I did that I promised was to cut my salary 12%. You know that I did cut my salary. It was the first thing that we did in the court that was important, that I believe. Cut it, and I'm the only county employee who has not taken a raise or a cost of living increase over the last 3 budget periods. In 2019, I promised that we would have a mobility plan. That didn't come about until last year. But in that mobility plan promise, is one of the things that I did, is I promised that we would remove the tolls from Highway 242. You know, we initiated that and we got that done. Second time in the history of the state of Texas. Second time. Also, Montgomery County adopted the no new revenue tax rate. I promised when I was running for office that as your appraisals went up, your tax rate would drop. The very first time we did that was our first budget cycle. I got a telephone call from former Judge Sadler who told me that's the first time in the history of the county. We've done that 2 times since, and this Commissioner's Court has worked together to get that done. It wasn't easy, it was tough, but we got it done. We are cash liquid in this county. We even brought over reserves, and in doing that did not cut any of our services to any of our essential services that we have. First responders, fire marshal, or the sheriff's office, or the constables. Also, placing Montgomery County first. I said that we would put Montgomery County first no matter what the case, in any situation. Who knew how we would be tested? Because what is your message to Montgomery County residents as the COVID pandemic enters its 3rd year? My message to Montgomery County residents is stay the course. Yes, we closed for a couple of weeks. I believed and followed along with the science. I followed the President Trump. I followed the governor of Texas. I followed the governor DeSantis. 17 other counties around us had closed. And we closed for 2 weeks. If I had to do it again when I do it, I don't think so. But you know what? That's what we did. But as I followed the science, I saw that the hospitalizations were about 5 to 6% of the total cases recorded. And I thought, that's unbelievable. Where are all these people going? They're sending them to the house. That's how bad COVID was. So I replaced following the science with common sense. I dropped my order, I opened it up, and I fought from that point forward to keep us from having to wear masks, to have vaccine mandates. I took on the state of Texas and the governor. I took on even to the federal issue along with our monoclonal issue that we recently did. I have to tell you, it was a workout, but we've gotten through it. We have a soaring economy. Our housing is going through the roof. People are moving here because Montgomery County is free. What we're going to do is the pandemic enters its 3rd year, we're going to stay the course. Every day, our freedoms are being challenged. And we have demonstrated that we can protect this county. We fought to keep things open. We fought to keep the churches open. We fought to keep schools open and all the businesses. The government should never be in the business of choosing winners and losers, essential or non-essential. Listen, we developed this mantra, and I'll close with this. You cannot have a healthy community without a healthy economy. And that's where we're at today. And we are booming. We are so far beyond so many of the counties around us. Thank you. I look forward. I hope that you will vote for me. Please take a sign when you leave. And I'd be more than happy when we're all done. I'll stand back there and I'll answer your questions. My name is Mark Keogh. And I ask you to vote.
Veteran, 25-year pastor, a businessman. In fact, my disaster relief work has gotten the attention of United States congressmen, and they have given to me not 1 but 2 congressional certificates of appreciation for the work that I do when I go into disaster relief areas helping families at no charge to those families. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand that as the president of iConnect Outreach, I have worked with hundreds and hundreds of projects. I have taken care of over $5 million in service work just in the last 3 years. It's so very important that we recognize that yes, the county is doing great right now. But I can tell you, when we shut down, we weren't doing so great. Our unemployment rate jumped 257% when the Commissioners Court decided to shut us down. And we can talk all we want right now about not being essential and not picking choosers and losers, but I'm going to tell you what, for at least 17 days, our county court decided who was essential and who wasn't essential. And it's easy to say now that I won't do it again, but ladies and gentlemen, it did happen, and it did damage our county, and it damaged a bunch of lives. And I want to promise to you, I will never do that. See, I think right now in our growth spurt, we need a leader who has vision, a leader who has new ideas. Montgomery County is no longer the same size it once was. Montgomery County is growing, reaching new people, seeing new people, new faces. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we must understand that passion to serve must be a priority. And for me, that's my strongest quality. I've been serving my communities for over 31 years at every level you can imagine. Willing to die for this country, going to disaster zones, never knowing who's going to be what, who's going to need what. Ladies and gentlemen, I've given all of my adulthood life to serving, and that's what you deserve. You need someone who's going to give you a full day's work for a full day's pay. You need someone who's going to dedicate their life to fixing problems that this county has. Ladies and gentlemen, he's standing before you. Infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, infrastructure, we are in trouble. We're excited about all the growth. How many of you are excited about not being able to get to work in the morning? Or not being able to get home at night because the roads aren't ready? How many of you are excited about that? We need to focus on getting our structure right. We need to work on transparency in our budget area. We do not have the kind of transparency we need to have. We need more transparency. And then finally, the COVID pandemic. I believe we should support personal responsibility among all things. Every single one of you, I look out here, you're a Texan. Your Constitution promises you life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I want to stand before you and promise, no matter how uncomfortable it would be, no matter how unpopular it would be, I don't really care what other counties are doing around me. I don't really care. What I do care is what you deserve, and I'll stand for you, and I will not make my leadership decisions based on what other counties around me are doing. You can count on that. You need to be informed, and you need to understand everything that's going on in this county. I commit to being a better communicator than what we have, and a stronger community. I'm Billy Graff. I look forward to your vote. Thank you.
All right. Excuse me. Thank you, candidates. You may be dismissed, and now we'll bring up group number 2. While we're changing places, there are some important election dates for you to know. The last day to register to vote in the March primary is coming up, January 31st. On the back of your candidate information sheet, there is the Montgomery County Elections website. If you're curious to make sure your voter registration is up to date, visit that website. Early voting, the dates are also on the back of your card. February 14th through March 25th. There are certain locations in Montgomery County where you can vote and the times, and this location is one. The last day to apply for a ballot by mail is February 18th. And then, of course, primary election day. Please get out and support the candidate of your choice on March 1st. Then there are other dates throughout the year. And also, after you've voted, be it early voting or primary day, to become a delegate to the state convention, you must attend your precinct convention on March 1st. That will be in the evening following the close of the polls. Return to your precinct location at this meeting You will automatically become a delegate by showing up. You will be able to submit resolutions and to be considered as a delegate to the state convention, the Senate District Convention, which will be March 26th. And that is where delegates to the state convention are chosen. Montgomery County Party Chair Brian Criss would be happy to answer any of your questions regarding becoming a delegate to any of these conventions. All right, now we will move on. County Court at Law Number 1. The County Court at Law Number 1 of Montgomery County handles criminal misdemeanor cases. Judge Dennis Watson is retiring after 23 years of service. The candidates are John Hagley and Brian Kane. And here's what we'd like to know. Please detail your background, highlight what makes you the most qualified candidate for this court. And also, what do you see as the most important issues that are facing this court, and how do you plan to address these if you are elected? John?
Ready? All right. Good evening, folks. My name is John Hafley, and I am running for judge at County Court at Law Number 1. Who am I? They wanted that background. Well, I am a Christian first, conservative second, Republican third. I'm married to my wife, Dina, who is also a Christian first, conservative second, and Republican third. And we've raised two wonderful kids who are attending college right now. Currently, one's studying criminal justice. He wants to be a police officer. And my daughter is studying nursing. She wants to be a nurse. He goes to Ole Miss. She goes to Texas A&M. So that's our background. She would have appreciated that, but she can't do it yet. She's a freshman. She can't. So who am I? Criminal justice major. I'm a former police officer. I'm a former prosecutor, and I own my own law firm. Why is this important? Experience matters. When you're running for judge, you want to hire somebody who has the experience who can handle a criminal court. This court's been designated as a criminal court. So as a police officer, I understand what as a former police officer, I understand what police officers go through every day. How they miss their Christmases, their Thanksgiving, when they come knocking on your door at 3 in the morning to get a warrant. I understand that. I will completely understand that feeling from both sides. As a prosecutor, I understand how they have to prepare for cases, how they have to prep, how they have to prove their burden. I've been there. I've been a prosecutor. And now I own my own law firm that concentrates on criminal cases. So I think that experience matters. Oh, by the way, I have a second job. I serve as a Brigadier General in the United States Army Reserve. Woo! I got promoted in 2002 under Donald Trump. He nominated me, and the Senate confirmed. I have commanded at every single level in the United States Army, from company command, battalion command, brigade command, and now I'm a division commander of the 100th Training Division at Fort Knox, Kentucky. So why does that matter? Because leadership matters in this position. You are the leader of that court. You're the presiding officer. You're in charge of those lives that come through your court on a daily basis. And those lives are coming through your court on their worst day. I've led 1,200 troops in combat. I've been the brigade commander of 3,500 troops that have rotated in and out of combat. I have led folks on their worst day. So I can lead this court. Oh, and you don't have to worry about vetting me. The United States government has done that. I have a top secret clearance. To get nominated for a general position, you go through the Secretary of Defense, who vets you, and then the President's office vets you. So if Donald Trump trusts me to be your general, I think you can trust me to be your judge. What's the biggest problem we're facing right now in our court? It's what we're facing in the county, and we've already heard it from the county judges. That's growth. Why is that a problem in the court? Because there's going to be more and more criminals coming to our town, unfortunately. That's what growth brings. And they're going to be coming through the court. So how am I going to address that problem? Well, we're going to have, in the first 90 days, I'm not going to make any changes, right? Because that's what leadership taught me. Don't go in there and make willy-nilly changes. Make sure you understand what your job is. But then we're going to have to increase the number of trials that we have in this court. We're going to have to increase the number of dockets. And I'm going to implement what I call Open Plea Friday. So every Friday after jail docket, I'm going to be there for any lawyers from the state and from the defense who want to come in and plead their cases. And I'll stay till 5 o'clock on Friday to make sure that we get that done. Fridays are the slow days. The state and lawyers who are out there working know that, and they can come to my court and plead those cases. My name's John Hafley. I'm running for Judge of County Court of Law 1 because I want to continue to serve this county and this country. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brian Kane. I'm also running for Judge, County Court of Law number 1. First question is about my background, and that's usually what I talk about first anyway. Because I'm a glutton for punishment, we'll go ahead and get it out of the way. I went to the University of Texas at Austin. There we go. That's the welcome. All right. It is a criminal misdemeanor court. I am an attorney practicing in a general litigation law firm. I do primarily criminal defense these days. I do a lot of family law as well. I've done a lot of other things, including probate, estate planning. I'm winding down a business right now, which is sort of like a divorce for people whose business is falling apart as opposed to their marriage. So let me just back up a little bit. I'm a 4th-generation Texan. I'm a native to the Houston area. I've been married to my wife for 17 years. We have 2 young children, 9 years old and 5 years old. My 5-year-old, I just sort of noticed recently, she doesn't walk anymore. She learns to cartwheel, and that's all she does. Before law school, I took a couple different tracks, and this is how I answer this question. Because I believe the number one thing that you need to have, the number one thing you need to find out about a candidate for judge is what their temperament is. And my temperament is shown by how I got where I am. I didn't go to law school right away. While I was at UT, I was mentoring to be an Episcopal priest. I got the first degree in religious studies, double majored with history, but that was the first degree that university handed out. And that's because I thought that's what I was going to do. I was mentoring, like I said, to become an Episcopal priest. I even took ancient Greek as my foreign language credit. Very useful. After that, when I determined that that wasn't the right path for me, I went and got a master's in history. I, at that point, shifted gears thinking I was going to become an historian and a professor. And I went to Texas State to get a master's and see if that was the right path for me. While I was doing that, while I was getting that degree, that's when I came to the realization that law was where I wanted to go. And then I went on and got my law degree. While I was at Texas State, just a little bit more of my background here that I think is important, I did a thesis on John Tower, the first Republican to win statewide office in the state of Texas since the end of Reconstruction. My major focus area was movement conservatism. I've studied everything that I think is important in my life. So I've studied my faith, I've studied my politics, and I've studied the law, and that's how obviously we get to be lawyers. So I'm meandering a little bit, but let me get back on track. The reason I am running for this position is because my history shows that temperament. That temperament is come about who I am. It's even why I ran. I know that my process is right for this job. And I hope that I get a chance to talk for more than 4 minutes about it to some of you here today. Now, to answer the other question, it's no secret. The biggest issue facing our courts is the growth that's going to bring more cases into that courtroom. I have one idea, and I have lots of other ideas, but one idea I'm going to implement immediately, and that is to move what's called a call docket closer in time to a trial setting. When someone sees that their trial is just a few days away, put it on a Thursday from a Monday, cases clear a lot quicker. That's been my experience in courts across the state. I have been a part of cases in 15 counties and dozens of courts. That's been my experience. I've seen that when you compress that schedule, you can move cases faster, and that'll tackle our issue. Again, Brian Kane, Judge, County Court at Law.
County Court at Law number 3 is the designated child protection court and handles family law cases. The candidates are Laura Watson and Amy Tucker. And what we'd like to know, the court is currently designated as the Child Protection Court and handles family law. Will you seek to change the structure of this court if elected? And also, please detail your qualifications that make you the best candidate for this court.
Now.
Feeling like a jack in the box right now. Good evening, my name is Laura Watson and I am running for judge in County Court at Law number 3. So I'm going to do the questions a little backwards. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and what my qualifications are and why I believe I'm the best candidate for this court. So this court, as many of you may know, is a family specialization court which also incorporates our child welfare docket. I have been practicing solely in family law for the last 18 years, right here in Montgomery County. I'm board certified in family law, which makes me more than qualified to be able to manage this court. Prior to jumping into the field of law, which I call my early midlife crisis, I worked in corporate America. I'm the only candidate here that has any managerial experience by working in corporate America for almost 12 years, being able to go and manage not only staff, but also multi-million-dollar budgets. This court is a business. This budget is your taxpayer dollars. The other thing that I can tell you about me that I have respectfully and only as a candidate running for this court is hands-on experience actually going out and representing the people of this great county. People like each and every one of you. Also the voices of children as they have gone through the traumas of family law when the families are having difficulties and struggling. That has given me the insight to understand the dynamics of how decisions by a court will affect the entire family as a whole. Additionally, I am very proud to say that I have managed my own law practice for 15 years right here in Conroe, Texas. I'm the only candidate that has done that. So not only have I been able to utilize my corporate experience and manage my firm, I believe that it's a very successful firm, and I will just allow you to go ask people in this great county, and I think most of them, unfortunately, if they've been through this, have heard of me, and how proud of the work that I have done and served. Finally, I'm the only candidate that has gone out and has served within this great county with regards to various civic organizations, volunteering, and most importantly, serving on various boards that are out there serving the needs of children, such as Access Fields Children, and also with Love Heals Youth. I've been doing this now for almost 12 years, giving back to our county, representing, volunteering for Montgomery County Food Bank, working food drives, going out and trying to raise monies for families in needs because you have a family that needs a wheelchair ramp. Those are the things that I've been doing for 12 years. I did not start when this campaign started. I have been a part of this community for an extended period of time, and I'm very proud of that. So with regards to the things in this court and the additional qualifications that I think that we have, I think it's important for the people of this county to understand that you have needs as well. With regards to, the people need access to this court. As this question points out, 80% of this is a child welfare docket. The other 20% is taking care of families within our county, our family laws. This court used to be 100% family court. So I'm trying to get to question number 1 to answer that one. Prior to that, it was able to service our families, our people. Then it changed. Prior to that, this court worked just fine. By a decision of the family law judges, apparently as a vote, for some reason it converted over to CPS, which is wonderful. Is that going to change? I think we have to determine what is the most efficient thing. Is it working? I won't know that until I get in there. And in order to be able to make that determination, it won't be just mine, it's also with the judges. I believe also the people need access to this court. It needs to be available when the people need it. not when it's convenient for the court. The people need efficiency.
Time, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And I am Laura Watson. I am asking for your vote, and I am running for County Court at Law number 3 judge. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Judge Amy Tucker. I'm the judge for County Court at Law 3. And just a little bit of background about me. I grew up in Corpus Christi, Texas. My parents were teachers. And actually, in a weird twist of fate, my father was Jay Wright's PE coach in the 70s, which is weird. I grew up surrounded by teachers, and I knew I was always going to be in public service in some capacity. I also grew up in a very sports-oriented family, and ultimately ended up playing for one of the top women's golf programs in the country at the University of Tennessee, back when women's sports were actually women's sports. And I knew that my short game probably wasn't going to earn me money after college, so I went to law school to buy some time, and I never really found my footing in law school until my last semester. I took a child welfare class, and in that class I learned about the court system and how it could relate to foster children, and it changed the course of my life. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I was lucky enough to get on very early at 26 years old with the Montgomery County Attorney's Office, and I worked in the Child Welfare Division there for 11 years, and then I had the great honor of being appointed to this court as the Associate Judge in December of 2012. I did that for 8.5 years until the commissioners unanimously appointed me to sit as the presiding judge on July 1. Now, with respect to my, and I'm going to do it backwards too, my qualifications, I am one of very few experts in the state of Texas in this area of the law. Child protection law is very complicated, technical, and complex, as Stephanie Hall pointed out. And I'm one of 47 attorneys in the entire state of Texas who's double board certified in child welfare law and family law. I've spent 20 years devoted and passionate about these cases which involve our foster children, and I am committed to continuing to serve that very vulnerable community. In answer to the question as far as whether or not I would change the structure, absolutely not. I spearheaded the efforts to bring all of those cases to County Court at Law 3. They've been through judge after judge after judge. They needed a home. And all of the judges, not just the family law judges, all of the judges voted a year and a half ago, a little bit more, to send all those cases to County Court at Law 3. Everybody knew I would be presiding over them because everyone knows I'm the expert. And everybody knows that I love these cases. These are not just your average children. These are children who have suffered unimaginable trauma. Many of our kids have traumatic brain injuries. Many of our children have multiple broken bones in various stages of healing. Many of our children have been sexually abused, trafficked. We have many children who are autistic. Many have chronic health conditions due to the abuse they've suffered. And I believe very strongly that the least we can do is give them a court with a judge who is an expert and who cares and who's passionate about where they end up. My associate judge and I, our combined experience relative to family law and child welfare law is unmatched in the state of Texas. We have a vision for this court. At the end of April, Judge Jack Riley and I will be 2 of only 17 judges in the entire country who are certified in trauma-informed care. And we'll be 2 of 5 in the state of Texas. We are committed to being able to make decisions on how these children are treated so that they can get over their trauma, and how we can give them the best chance to live a life that's full of love and hope and happiness. I'm Judge Amy Tucker, and I'm asking you to continue me in this position. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we move on to County Court at Law number 4. This court is a criminal misdemeanor court and has a specialized domestic violence docket. Judge Mary Ann Turner is retiring after 20 years of service. The candidates are Echo Hudson and Gary Miller. And here's what we'd like to know. What specific qualifications do you have that makes you the best candidate for this court? And what changes, if any, would you implement in this court if elected?
Hi, good evening. My name is Echo Hudson. I serve currently in Montgomery County as the Chief Prosecutor of the Domestic Violence Division for your elected District Attorney, Brett Ligon, at the DA's office. I started with Brett in 2009, right after he was newly elected. I came to Montgomery County from El Paso County, where I was a prosecutor there. And when I first came to Montgomery County, Brett had a vision to specialize. And I think that that vision has spread over the past, 13, 14 years now that we've been doing this. So El Paso County, where I came from, has a very wide background in domestic violence. They have a very broad program there, and I was influenced by that. When I came to Montgomery County, I learned that we were dismissing more than half of our filed domestic violence cases. And so in 2011, I was given the opportunity by Brett to write a grant and to create a specialized division, and I became Montgomery County's first specialized domestic violence prosecutor under that grant. I began working in our division, and we started a new docket in County Court at Law number 2 at the time, and was later taken over by Judge Mary Ann Turner in County Court at Law number 4 after several years. So we started implementing some changes in Montgomery County on how we handle domestic violence cases, because clearly there was a need that was going unmet. And the result is that these are some of the most lethal cases that our prosecutors and our defense attorneys work with. These are the most lethal cases that our law enforcement works with. And what we want to avoid in these cases is a homicide. So what we implemented with law enforcement all the way up is trauma-informed care, where we reach out to the victim as quickly as possible within 24 to 72 hours. We work with law enforcement. I've been on call the last 2.5 years for our highest red flag cases, where they can call me 24/7 in order to get advice and to help with their investigation. We have implemented multidisciplinary teams involving advocates, involving law enforcement, involving healthcare workers, involving our courts, and our prosecution teams. What we did in that court, starting from the very first year, is our success rate at trial. The first year was 100% conviction rate. Our overall conviction rate of all cases moving through that court was 90% plus. We have continued that conviction rate for the last 10 years. In fact, Sam Houston State University just did a study on our court, and they found that this court, compared to over 100 different specialized dockets across the country and 2 other countries, the UK and Australia, this court is a national high performer. So what we have created here is incredibly specialized. My qualifications is I have been working this court from the beginning. I know it from the inside out. I've done defense work. I've tried the murder cases. I've done all of the prosecution cases. This has been my special experience. And I am a national recognized expert. I teach and train our law enforcement, our advocates. I speak locally, I speak across the state, and I speak nationally about this issue. This is my specialty. I would not be running for office if this office were not becoming open. Judge Mary Ann Turner has done a fantastic job working from the judicial side of this, and I applaud her for her work and for expanding this docket, making it so successful in conjunction with our law enforcement and with our prosecution. My name is Echo Hudson. I am the most qualified person in this county for this position, and I am asking for your vote. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Gary Miller. I'm also running for Judge of County Court of Law number 4. Just a little bit background about myself. I have been married for 16 years to my wife, Julie. We moved to Montgomery County in 2009. She's also an attorney, and yes, we studied for the bar at the same time together. That was fun. We did both pass, so that was good. It would have been a little awkward if that wasn't true. We have 2 daughters. They attend public school in Conroe ISD. They're 14 and 12. My oldest daughter is a swimmer. My youngest daughter plays lacrosse. They needed a coach, so lucky me, I'm the coach and I know nothing about it. So I have that 2 nights a week going on right now as well. Let's talk about what matters. I am an expert in criminal law. I am board certified in criminal law. What that means, had to apply you have to basically reach a certain point of experience, trials, appeals, federal work, state court work. Then you have to take an exam, and you have to pass that exam. There are less than 30 attorneys in all of Montgomery County that have that qualification in criminal law. This is a criminal court. You need people that know what they're doing in criminal law from all sides. I was a former prosecutor in Harris County back when it was Republican. Prosecuted people for marijuana. I know it's shocking. Now nothing happens to you, basically. So I was there for almost 3 years. Then I went out in private practice. I've done basically only criminal defense. I did file a traffic lawsuit one time for one of my friends. That was about the only time I thought that I could do civil work, but I didn't like it. I've dedicated my career entirely to criminal law and criminal defense work and prosecution. I have handled some of the worst of the worst. I was lead attorney on capital murders. I've handled regular murders. I've been there, done that, seen it all. Obviously, misdemeanor court doesn't handle those kind of cases, but I've done hundreds and hundreds of those too. Mainly you're going to see travel intoxicated cases, domestic violence cases. I've handled this on almost a daily basis for the past 16 years. I'm fair. I'm usually pretty even-keeled. This court, you've got to be consistent. You've got to show up every day, put in hard work, and things work out. You're dealing with people like Mr. Hafley said, this is their worst day, all right? For everyone involved. No one by choice gets involved really in the criminal justice system. Victims aren't there by choice. Defendants aren't there by choice, except for choices they make. But no one really wants to be there. I tell people all the time, nothing good happens down there if you're going to the criminal courthouse. This court, run by Judge Turner for many years, it's a fantastic court. I don't think that there really are changes that need to be made. Nothing's perfect, but they are doing an awesome job in that court. All the criminal courts, the dockets are kind of creeping up just because of the situation we are in. So you just got to keep being consistent, put the hard work in, be fair to everybody. I'm asking for your vote. Gary Miller, County Court Law Number 4. Thank you.
Thank you very much, candidates. And now we move on to County Clerk. The County Clerk serves as custodian of records for the commissioners and county courts. The office records and securely maintains important public records, including all deeds, birth and death certificates, assumed names, and livestock brands. Mark Turnbull is retiring after 27 years of service. The candidates are Brandon Steinman and Jeannie Stewart. Jeannie is not here tonight. Brandon? What we'd like to know is describe what you consider to be an efficient clerk's office, identified any changes or improvements that would benefit the office going forward, and why are you the best qualified person for the position?
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. Hello. Good evening. My name is Brandon Steinman. I'm a conservative Republican that's running for Montgomery County Clerk. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak tonight, and I also want to say to Lorena and Julie, I'm a proud associate member of the late Conroe area Republican Women. I'm a native of Montgomery County. I was born and raised here. I attended Conroe High. I actually started the first high school Republicans at Conroe High. I'm a sixth-generation Texan, and my family has lived around this area for the last 100 years. The guiding influences in my life are faith, family, and my belief in limited government. And on that, I want to say that I'm proud to say that last week, the Texas Right to Life organization here in Texas endorsed me for my fight for the unborn, which is very important to me. My entire adult life has been dedicated to public service. And that's why I'm running for county clerk, not because I need to be an elected official, but because I love Montgomery County and I love public service. And I think you deserve an experienced conservative Republican who can get in and do this job on day one. So why am I qualified? Why am I the best qualified for this position? I spent the last 27 years working for you. I've worked for you through conservative Texas members of Congress like Joe Barton, Ted Poe, and Kevin Brady. I also spent of that 7 years working for Governor Rick Perry. I'm the only candidate in this race who has ever handled a multi-million-dollar budget, who has had to defend that budget line by line to the state legislature, which is not fun, I will tell you. I also was able to make significant cuts every single time we came before the legislature. I'm also supervised a dozen employees. I've been actually filed, the only candidate who has filed and had approved a records retention program, which is important in the county clerk's office, with the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. I understand customer service. We'll continue to look at removing COVID barriers and other things that might make it easier when you come into the clerk's office to get any of your particular licenses. I will tell you that when I went in with my wife, who's here, Jessica, we've been married 8 months. We went in to get our marriage certificate, and we were able to get in and out and get on to all the excitement and planning for a wedding. And that's what the clerk's office needs to be, a place where you can come in and out, have good customer service, and things are efficient. Formal education, to add to that. I have my Master's of Public Administration from the University of Texas at Austin. I know there'll be some boos. Specializing in urban and state affairs management. I also am a dual graduate, which is unique. Only 3 people in the state of Texas, employees, have ever been a graduate of the Texas Governor's Executive Development Program and the Texas Fiscal Officers Academy, which was to train me to be the CEO or the CEO of one of our major state agencies like the Health and Human Services Commission, where you have thousands of employees and multi-million-dollar budgets. My questions, have you identified any change or improvements, and describe what you consider to be a Mission County Clerk's Office? Well, to that I can say I believe the County Clerk's Office has been run efficiently. I think Mark Turnbull has done a fantastic job and laid a great foundation for us. So if elected, I will continue to be fiscally responsible. We'll continue to have transparency with all our functions and our budget online. We'll continue to modernize because we continue to grow. This is a very important thing. We'll continue to modernize and put more of our functions online, and we'll put how-to videos to explain how you can actually do that as well. We'll also continue to look for ways to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse so we can be the best tax steward of your dollars. I've been a Republican in Montgomery County since I was 8 years old. I was inspired by Ronald Reagan. I walked door to door for dozens of candidates for donuts and pizza. I've attended all of our wonderful Republican women's groups. I've attended 5 of the last 7 state Republican conventions, as well as our senatorial and precinct events as well. And I just think we need to elect an experienced conservative Republican in this position. So therefore, I ask you for your vote, and I would be honored if you'd elect me as your next Montgomery County clerk. Thank you for your time.
And now, last but not least, not at all, County Commissioner Precinct 2. A county commissioner is part of the 5-member Commissioners Court. Montgomery County is divided into 4 precincts. Commissioners are responsible for adopting budgets, approving taxation and financial decisions, adopting ordinances, and making land use decisions. The county commissioner is responsible for roads and bridges within their precinct. Montgomery County Precinct 2 covers the area south of 105 from I-45 west to the county line. The candidates are Jennifer Eckert and Charlie Riley. And here's what we'd like to know. What do you think should be the Commissioner's Court role between the taxpayer and developers in the county regarding tax abatements or other incentives? A great deal of the growth of Montgomery County is occurring in Precinct 2. What plans have been made or need to be made to meet the infrastructure needs of the community in the near future? And of course, why are you the best qualified candidate for the office? Jennifer?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jennifer Eckhart. I'm a lifelong Texan, and I've been in Montgomery County for the last 22 years. So I already know that Montgomery County is a fantastic place to build. Any benefits afforded to developers should result in a net gain for our taxpayers, with the goal of keeping our taxes low. While it has been common practice to award abatements or pay developers back for their roads, we can no longer afford these sweetheart deals. We need to work with the developers and do more like Harris County does. We deserve as good of a product as they build in Harris County without paying them to come here and do it. I also know that we need to, any development that we bring and we get behind, it should be for the benefit of our county and taxpayers. And as far as the second question, I believe in long-range planning. We need to stop wasteful spending. We need an improved bidding system so that we can make sure that we are getting the best return on investment. We need traffic studies and best engineering practices. We need to do more to partner with local government entities and TxDOT to help stretch our tax dollars and to move up project timelines. We have to update our development standards so that we no longer have new development flooding our existing development. We are no longer the small county of the 90s, and we have to stop doing business like we are. And as for the reason why you should vote for me, I have a successful business track record. The last year that I worked before taking time off with my children, I secured $37 million in business because I was good at my job and people trusted me to get it done and get it done right. I have a constituent first mentality. I believe government is a service entity. This is about representing the will of the people. And I will always be budget conscious. Voting for the no new revenue rate is kind of the easy part. That's the no-brainer. The harder part is proper planning, budgeting, and making financially beneficial decisions on behalf of the constituents. I also believe in transparency, accountability, and good communication. No more hiding government business on the consent agenda from the voters. They deserve to know how their every dollar is being spent and the decisions being made on their behalf. And as a lifelong Texan and Montgomery resident for 22 years, the future of this county is important to me. My husband and I are raising our 3 children here, our family, and we want our children to be able to afford and stay here and enjoy the area. So I ask for your vote as your next county commissioner in Precinct 2. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all hanging around to hear the best for the last. However that's supposed to be. Look, my name is Charlie Riley. I am the County Commissioner for Precinct 2. I have been married to my lovely wife for 45 years, if I can make it till January the 29th. So, we have 2 grown children and 5 grandchildren. They all live in Magnolia here in Montgomery County. And one of the reasons that I work so hard at doing what I do is because I want to make sure they stay here in Montgomery County. I want to make sure they can stay here in Montgomery County. And I'm going to answer these questions, and I'm going to try to answer them the best way I know how. And I want to make sure everybody understands, if there is a developer that comes in or a business that comes in and wants an incentive or a tax abatement, we don't just automatically hand that out. That's not how this works. There's a system that we go by, there's guidelines that we go by, there's statutes that we go by. We go to we go to Tammy McCrae's office for the tax assessor, and we figure out by her guidelines what this company wants to do or what this development's going to do. And if it's good for that development, it also has to have some value for Montgomery County. We don't just make everything good for the developer. There's got to be value in it for Montgomery County. So if I can figure out a way to make it good for them, make it good for us, and put a quality development on the ground, I'm all for it. If that won't happen, I will not let them have an incentive or tax abatement. That's how that works. And all the growth in Precinct 2, there's growth up here, in this part of precinct 2, but I will assure you, most of the growth in precinct 2 is happening on the west side, southwest side of Montgomery County. And we have planned for that. We planned in 2015 and passed a road bond for $280 million. I had $64 million worth of projects out of that road bond. I planned for what roads I wanted done. We planned for those roads that we needed and we knew we needed to get done, especially after Hurricane Ike when we had 6 lanes of traffic on a 2-lane road trying to come through Magnolia. Y'all had the same thing on 149 trying to get through Montgomery. So what we planned for is not only the expansion for our residents and our citizens, everyday citizens, we're trying to plan for ways for people to get out. When somebody wants to get out of Harris County, there's no way out. 45 clogs up, 1774 clogs up, 1488, all of the above. Out of the $64 million projects that we had on my list to be done, I have completed every one of those in 7 years. So I'm proud of that. And that's what planning's all about. And that's what it takes when you're working with TxDOT and you're working with developers and you're working with HGAC. That's the kind of leadership that you need. As far as who's the most qualified, I've been doing this for 20 years. I was 14 years as a project precinct operations manager for the former commissioner. I was running the day-to-day operations. And in the last 7 years, I have instituted a 20% homestead exemption. We have passed the no new revenue rate 3 times in a row. I authored the Second Amendment gun sanctuary law for Montgomery County. And what that means is we will not come get your guns if they tell us we're coming at it. If the governor or the parents said we're coming after your guns, our law enforcement have agreed that they're not going to come try to do anything. So I would ask that you would continue to support me. I would ask that you continue to support Montgomery County. I've been here since 1971. I love this place, my family loves this place, and I appreciate everybody being here, and thank y'all very much.
Thank you very much to all of our candidates. Go ahead and have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, please take time to visit with each one of these candidates tonight before you leave. And thank you, Madam President.
To our candidates, win or lose, thank you for daring to make a difference. You have made our area, our county, our state, and our country that much better because you took a stand. Along with your families, you put yourselves out there for an opportunity to serve, and for that we are thankful and grateful. To our many guests and new members, thank you for attending. We hope to see you in our membership event on February the 3rd and at our statewide candidate forum on February the 17th. God bless you, good night, and the meeting is adjourned.